All right, I told everybody over here.
Right.
Hey, everybody, we're live. Here's my friend. I keep, that way. He's there, folks. Hey, Andy. I know.
Hey, Denny. Oh,
Yeah.
always good to be speaking with you, but I wish we were talking about something much more positive.
Yeah, happy face rather than I feel like I'm painted on. What do you think of the unanimous decision that was announced Friday?
Like many, many people, I'm trying to digest it, and it's bad food, if you know what I mean. 30-0. I believe most observers felt that it was going to pass and it was going to get the 75% that they needed, 23 teams, but 30, and how early in the day it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, most people figured, and baseball was sort of signaling that it would happen later in the day. Nonetheless, that's a stamp of approval from MLB to the Oakland A's, John Fisher, that they have the right to leave and pursue their dome stadium in Las Vegas. Now, that being said, how many very, very, very large hurdles are in the way before you and I are sitting in that stadium in what the A's say is they're opening in 2028. Now, you're a man that plans ahead, Zenny. I've always appreciated that.
Thank
Do
you.
you know what's on your schedule in April or late March of 2028?
I got a lot of hopes.
Okay.
I hope I get married. I hope my mom is still with me. My mom,
yeah.
she, a lot of hopes.
and I think that many of us are in that situation. All of that being said, and we can go through chapter and verse from the Nevada Teachers Union to where they're going to play, to any type of legal and legislative play that Oakland might have, to discovery that might come out through lawsuits that someone may institute about, wait a second, how did this all work out? How did they go through all of these locations in Northern California? They couldn't get traction on any of them. But in the interim, the San Francisco 49ers build a new football stadium. The Golden State Warriors build a palatial palace. The Sacramento Kings build the wonderful Golden One Center. Mark Davis and the NFL build Allegiant. SoFi Stadium, $5 billion is built in Southern California, and the Chargers leave San Diego to be a tenant there. So that's a question. My take on all of this, Zenny, and your knowledge of the infrastructure, the legislative part of this, the financial conversations and dealings is significant. What I'm looking at was a real long play game thrown at everyone. Meaning, okay, do we know that Major League Baseball has said until we have new stadiums under construction, not artist renderings, not people standing up and saying it's going to be great, but heavy equipment digging in the ground for a new stadium to house the Tampa Bay team and a new stadium ballpark. Now we know it's a convertible dome stadium, whatever that means, in Las Vegas. Well, then Major League Baseball, according to the commissioner, has said we want to expand by two markets, and each one may have an ante, using a Las Vegas term, of $2.2 billion. I think you and I could add that up. That's $4.4 billion. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll be done with this in a second. I don't know exactly how they get paid and when they get paid, but in an expansion, teams share in that number. And that number is quite a bit larger than 500 million or 400 or 300, all points that have been rumored that the A's relocation was supposed to cost. And that vaporized, right, Zenny? Just went away.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. So all of the iterations in and around Oakland, from Cisco to Liberty to Coliseum City to Peralta offices to Howard with just a baseball stadium to Howard with a $12 billion new urban ballpark city built around it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, minor point but major to me, John Fisher, Dave Kaval, the A's organization said, oh, the Coliseum, nope, that could never play as an opportunity. Well, I will never believe that. It could. And if it was leveled a few years ago, it would already be housing a brand new ballpark, retail, residences, and being the East Bay not equal, but an East Bay, Mission Bay vision. But the A's ruled that out very, very quickly. And it seems anytime, and you know this better than anybody, anytime the city and the county at that time were ready to do a deal with the A's, a gigantic spitball was thrown into the deal, making it, sorry, we can't, we're looking at Vegas. And even Vegas had a binding agreement in the first location, a binding agreement, which got unbound within, 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
To go.
I never, I don't want to stop you unless you're asking me a question right now. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm basically done with my view that the long game is the A's and Major League Baseball working together figured out that the easiest way for them to get heavy equipment in the ground was in Vegas, not Oakland or any of these other multiple locations. I don't know enough about Tampa. It seems less convoluted than Oakland. And if they can get into expansion, then everyone is going to go like this and go, holy mackerel, we put in our thumb, we pulled out $1 billion or 4.4 billion. We're pretty smart, huh?
Yeah. Okay. I think based on what I reported just before our show, and is the reason that folks are coming in now to see you, but because what I just told them, I think I'm now able to pull this all together in a way I wasn't before. So here goes. Bear with me, okay? As we discussed off camera.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that the Fisher family donated approximately $110,000 to Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's Oakland Promise program during May. Now, the specific date I don't have. However, what I do have is that during the 2018 year that happened, the Oakland City Council on the 15th of May of 2018, the same year, approved a dual exclusive negotiating agreement that some of you are aware of, where the Fisher family was allowed to have control, essentially, negotiating control over their part of the Coliseum they wish to buy, which is also in motion for them to purchase, and Howard Terminal. Now, what it appears is that because the mayor and John Fisher and the Fisher family are political allies, they both want charter schools. Libby was in favor of closing a gigantic number of Oakland schools, as was John Fisher, that they got together. I don't know exactly when, but they got together, and by the time they consummated their deal, this resolution was formed. Ken Epstein of the Oakland Post reported on in 2022 about the 2018 transaction. These don't come out simultaneously. And it's not like, oh, we're sitting here and it's like, oh, hey, guess what just popped up on our radar screen? The Fisher family donated, $110,000 to the Oakland Promise. And oh, by the way, City Council just approved for the Fisher family to control two of the most important properties in Oakland's economy, or among them, right? Okay.
As it related to the A's, absolutely.
Yeah, and everybody else. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that doesn't come up like that. So we didn't have the luxury of instantaneous knowledge to piece these together, but now we can piece them together. And so the question has to be asked, what was really going on? Because Lauren Taylor went stomping around town when he was running for mayor. He was District 6 council candidate, council member, excuse me, but mayoral candidate, and said, hey, look, if you don't elect me, there's not going to be a Howard terminal. Why? Did he say that? Because he said that because I don't know if I'm being. Do you have another recording on, Andy?
No, sorry.
Okay. That was odd.
Yeah, sorry.
Something there. At any rate,
could be Russian hackers.
Well, something's back there. So it didn't.
No,
All right. I'm going to finish this. Anyway, my point is that okay, let me close that one. Close away. Yeah, because this doesn't happen. There's something back there.
Is it my recording device?
Yeah, it's on your own. But I will talk and talk and duel, and that's just fine. It's not a problem. The simple fact is that the Fisher family was able to control that property, and one could ask, since the revolution was consummated early in 2018, what happened in 2017 after the NFL approved the Raiders the right to leave Oakland for Las Vegas?
Right.
There were a number of people, Raiders fans who believed that Mayor Shaft did not want the Raiders in town. Now, given what I just told you, Andy, it looks like she was helping John Fisher clear a path for the Athletic to have land control at the Coliseum and Howard Terminal. Okay? Now, is that illegal? Because it goes to the Oakland Promise, it doesn't appear to be, but that's for better legal minds than mine to determine, even though I did pretty well at the LSAC. So, what do you think?
First of all, the question is what, and this is knowledge for me and maybe our listeners, what is the purpose or goals and objectives of Oakland Promise?
The idea of Oakland Promise has been the latest iteration of a dream that me and her mother, my godmother, started with Oakland Cares in 1993 to make sure that money got to Black families in particular who could not afford an education for their kids. And that's always been with these dreams.
Right.
More to local.
Number two, my understanding was that the A's goal and objective of owning all of the Coliseum, and now, as I understand it, they own the county's 50% of the Coliseum. The city still has control of their 50%. That, according to A's management, they needed that location to generate revenue opportunities to help pay for Howard Terminal.
Right.
And if you look at the incredible success over a very long period of time of China Basin, we know what China Basin has become.
Right.
We see Oracle Park, we see Chase Center, we see Thrive, we see retail, we see living spaces. None of that happens in a year or 5 years or 10 years. So when Howard Terminal went from the simple concept of building a ballpark to then a multiplicity of artist renderings from Mayan architecture, the arche angles, to a new urban ballpark city that the A's, I think, costed out at $12 billion.
Except here's the thing. Dave Powell, if I may, Dave Powell, in our interview with our second one, cut to the chase, that they were going to have other developers lease those properties from them to build. It was never something that to build all at once. Who or what PR firm influenced people in the media to express the idea that built all at once ought to be hung up by their breast and arms. Okay?
Well, there was no, I mean, when the concept went from a ballpark that could have been built on that repurposed 18-wheeler parking lot at the port, and then went into the much more grandiose vision that you've just talked about. Did any developers step forward at that time and say, we're in?
That's not how it works.
At Howard. None.
That's not how it works. What you do, the city owner. Let me try muting you and see if that thing is somewhere on your hand. Mute your second. Okay, so yeah, that's you, Andy. That's you. Anyway. Anyway, stuff happens. But anyway, don't worry about it, Andy. Don't worry about it. Stuff happens. I love you. The point is this. City Port will issue an RFP helping the athletic find a developer because it wasn't clear that the athletics were going after one, even though, as Dave told me in the show, they needed a development partner. Publicly and you need a development partner if you don't need one. I was trained in economic development. That's the kind of thing that I do.
Right.
Not close, to Magic Johnson to buy the A's years ago. But I don't. My point is, you don't do that without a development partner. And not only that, look at their plan for Howard. It's just listed parts. No one has the money to build that. And as I told Dave, when he first announced it, I texted him. I said, look, you don't announce if you're going to use tax financing and then not tell people what the increment revenue is going to be from $12 billion of assessed value.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
So let me ask you a question, if I can be off of mute, and maybe it's not me.
You're not on.
I'm not muted. Can you hear me better? And am I not screwing up as I did before?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, that was probably because another device was on. But
I know.
But in this circumstance where they have the stamp of approval, 30-0 from MLB, they have welcoming arms in Las Vegas of whatever, $385 million from the state legislature. They have the Nevada Teachers Union working through their lawsuit to claw back some of that money. In your view, what legal and legislative weapons and then discovery, based upon what you just found out today, could Oakland move forward with that would cause great concern for the project moving forward in Las Vegas?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Say for this reason. First of all, let's talk about the SOS lawsuit. They put out the press release. If you know municipal finance, you know that what they're pushing, that they're obviously not going to wear and better not be aware of, is a tax levy. Andy, it's a bond issue. It's not a tax levy. There's a fundamental difference. A tax levy is a tax law that impacts everyone in Clark County. All right?
Right.
This is a bond issue. This is a bond issue that impacts only those people who set foot within the environs of the sports and entertainment. That's it. So if they volunteer,
the Tropicana area where the stadium will be built.
Precisely. Mm-hmm. Right. And even then, there's a clause out. But what is spent in the ballpark doesn't have anything to do with what's spent in the hotel, which I think is a mistake. The hotel can't into
right.
Okay? But my point is, that is not a tax levy. You read on what the Nevada tax levy, then your next question has to be, is Alexander Martin stuck on stupid?
Mm-hmm.
Or he's writing a lawsuit, which he slapped for. Okay. So
what is your view of how John Fisher will finance the estimated $1.x billion? Let's call it 1.2 or 2 billion or more to complete the Dome Stadium and to create a baseball team, which he's eviscerated over the last few years.
They're going to do what was done by my friend Dolich when she represented Hyper Jaffe Investment in doing St. Louis financing. That is taking every little revenue producing operation within it and making it one big private activity bond issue. Okay. And so hey, you gamble over here, keep that in mind. That goes into today's conference to pay for a little park over here. That too. On and on. Anything they can get their hands on in that stadium. Luxury suites goes into that. And that's
okay. As we're ending our little piece here, and I know much more to come. We've had many discussions in the past, and we'll have more in the future. 2 questions for you. Is there legitimacy from a legal standpoint for an eminent domain lawsuit to claw back the A's 50% of the Coliseum by the county, and why not?
Because if you read the contract, it is precisely that. There is no built-in quid pro quo for the athletics. It says so in the documentation that the city doesn't even know when the A's are going to develop on it. It's written in black and white. Andy.
Right. No, I that's why I asked the question. And then let's go to, as you're looking at the multiplicity of suggestions and the three that have come from Dave Cavil publicly, we'll extend our lease at the Coliseum. We'll share some games at Oracle Park, or we will play after 24 at Las Vegas Ballpark, the home of our minor league team, or something else. What advice would you give the A's as to where they should wander in the interim before their stadium is built in Las Vegas?
If I were them, given the way the Oakland treated my organization, I'd get out. And I'd stop. Particularly after what I reported.
Right.
We do not show a desire to change. And athletics fans do not make the city change. That's the biggest crime of all. I'm sorry to say it.
And we have a team in 24 that is coming off the worst record in baseball with the lowest attendance over the last 2 years. Who's going to go in 24 and beyond? Right.
You have to go to Las Vegas now.
Yeah.
And build your fan base. That's smart.
No, I'm curious. I haven't gone on the A's website, but I'm curious to see if they're taking season ticket deposits fully refundable in Vegas yet. I'm going to look later.
Not yet. I haven't. They do have a mailing list.
Okay, so at least somebody's awake doing that.
Oh yeah. And
okay.
I say to you and everybody else, watch the live stream of Las Vegas, because people out here have not been treated to how a real stadium authority behaves. Okay. We haven't.
Okay. Well, as I said, 2028 is a long time. They're going to have to play someplace. They're not going to be winning any World Series because John said, until I get revenue from the new park, I can't afford the players. And Vegas is a go big or go home community. So if you're not winning, you become a lounge act pretty quickly. And 81 baseball games is not 9 home games for football.
But Andy, consider this. You know this as well as I do. They're going to have ownership of their own revenue, which you take the tax estimates that were released by the Las Vegas Commission and Visitors Bureau and applied analytics and reverse, do the reverse math. In other words, basically take revenue. The tax rate is divided by revenue.
Right.
You get $757 million year one. Now, as to whether or not it's overage, can be argued. But I will tell you, their deal is such that it can pencil out if they just have 8,000 people a game. Okay? So they're going to be sitting in. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget the $2 million they're going to get and $20 million a year from gambling. That's not factored in.
Yeah, that's a whole other session, which we'll talk about sometime in the future. As always, I'm learning a lot, as are the people that are watching this with their heart, their mind, and their soul, possibly saying goodbye to the A's. See you, Zenny.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you.
Okay.
All right. See ya. And that was Andy Dolich. And by the fact that you can hear me, Andy had something on in the background. He flipped the switch. I don't know why he did, but that amplified my voice. Maybe he was having a hard time hearing. I don't know. Let me get to your comments. because then I got to get ready for Monday Night Football. Here we go. Let's see, we started off with Zach says stadium renderings are going to be lit. Playing it has some qualities of Benz's design Stadium 51. I think you mean Ben Garcia. Zach says, awesome hat collection, Andy. I'm a Hayes hat collector myself. Joseph Webster says, Zinni is a stand-up man. Thank you. Texted him and he texts back and asks how my grandma was doing and said hi. Zinni has a heart of gold. Thank you for that. As I wrote there, Joseph says, thank you for being you. Thank you. Zach says, when will shovels be in Las Vegas dirt? I anticipate that will occur by early 2025. That's my guess. Now, something wrong with your audio, Zinni, you have an echo. That's because Andy had a speaker thing on. And you notice when Andy left, that distortion went away, right? He admitted it was on his end. Okay. Now, why he did that, ask Andy. Joseph Webster says, I keep trying to explain that to people. It's a bond issue. Stephen P says, welcome to the La Vegas AAAs. He says, stay classy, Oakland. Oakland doesn't want you. Vegas, baby, he says. Joseph Webster says, NFL is extremely hard to win a championship. Regardless if you have a lot of Pro Bowlers. I adopted the Raiders since I grew up in Vegas. But I grew up a Colts fan with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. My bad. Says it's hard to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. Anyway, I think the A's will win once they're in Vegas, and there's the answer. Okay, so there we are, folks. There we are. I thank Andy for stopping by and turning on his speaker and everything, everything else. But more on this to come because there are some questions that have to be asked and answers gotten regarding what was going on between the Fisher family, Amir Shaff, and the Oakland Promise people, because all of that impacts the Athletics and Oakland's future. So subscribe to Zinni62 on YouTube, bookmark Zinni62blog.com, OaklandNewsNowblog.com, ZinniReport.com, and OaklandNewsOnline.com. And that ends this broadcast. Monday Night Football next year. We're going to go at halftime, I believe, given the time right now. That ends the stream. Thanks.